they do even no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh yo yo, my people make you shout. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ dódódódó. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Mayegun ti dé o, ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Thank you so much for joining me from wherever you are watching from. Please share the broadcast. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them Mayegun today.
Mayegun diary politico. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Godfatherism, kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Nigeria Supreme Court denies Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's freedom today. And even though they agreed on the violation of his fundamental human rights, they wanted him to go back to the High Court, the Federal High Court, to start it all over again.
Àní ẹ̀sùn Raki, Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn Raki, Mayegun ti dé.
And that reminds me, someone once said, the Nigeria Supreme Court is only meant to deliver judgments, not justice. Read the caption of the broadcast, read the description as well, share the broadcast, pay your offering, which is like the broadcast. We're going to delve into it in a minute. And the fire still burning from River State keeps burning. Bunny.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn Raki. Àní ẹ̀sùn Raki. Mayegun ti dé.
Thank you. Motide, and good morning to you. Once again, good afternoon to you and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live. Today, the Supreme Court of Nigeria did not deliver any judgment. Rather, they sent back the plea of Malamu, which is to help them convict Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for treasonable felony. Last night, I did bring a lot of us up to date what has transpired until today. Now, there is a part that I also think you should be aware of in this issue of a bogus court case. So today, or should I say before now, when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was renditioned back to Nigeria, the High Court in Nigeria, Federal High Court, ruled at the time that number one, they withdrew his bail at the time, and then they said, well, he has to stand trial. Stand trial for what? Treason. Treason against Nigeria. Where are the evidence? Still nothing. So this moved to appeal court. It was the appeal court that actually gave a ruling. This time, it was to put a stop to the shenanigan we supposed. What did the appeal court do? The appeal court ruled very clearly that the process of renditioning Kanu back to Nigeria was so illegal that it has brought, it has brought a shame to the name of Nigeria in the international community, especially legally. So for everything to be right and done right, Nigeria must return him back to Kenya, free him unconditionally. That was the ruling of the appeal court. Now, that was when Malamun decided to use their power illegally. For all these months, years, they presented no single evidence or witness against Nnamdi Kanu or IPOB in their courts. There's no record of that, other than they were seeking to try him secretly. Secret trial means those who are going to testify, he won't know them, they are going to be behind the scene and all of that. But nevertheless, the appeal court ruled that he must be let go, which means, or which will bring me back to some of you that I spoke to at the time, that let's come to think of something, okay? Nigeria said Nnamdi Kanu committed a crime. To some of you, everything they told you, right, both imaginary and the rest, okay, that they told you, that has made you feel like it deserves to face justice. And where do you face justice? In your law court, Abi. But the Bokwari's government had no intention, okay, of actually prosecuting Nnamdi Kanu for treason because there is no evidence of that. They just want to keep him locked up somewhere. And that is not justice. So if you say you don't like, you probably don't like him, fine, great, you don't like him, that's fine. But would you say that automatically means he has no rights as a human being, even in the face of your law? So if you feel like he doesn't have any right in the face of your law, or nobody does, right? Then why did they take him to their court? Have you ever asked yourself that? I mean, the only place they could present all evidence or whatever, anything they have told you against him is in their own court, right? But for 2 years, 2 solid years, they continue to adjourn and run away from their own courts. But when they finally showed up, the court told them they were wrong. Return him back to where you brought him from. So they went to appeal court. They said, okay, they cannot do that. They decided to go to appeal court, to Supreme Court. So they went to Supreme Court with the plead that Supreme Court should rule that Nnamdi Kanu has a case to answer. Even though they can't try him, he must be returned back to the same court where they started from 8 years ago. If you must remember, this old madness started from December 2015. This is December 2023. So it's going to go back there. The last 8 years, Nnamdi Kanu has won 8 different court cases, including over 10 billion naira in compensation. None of this has been obeyed. However, the Supreme Court today, Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer said he has no case to answer, and the Supreme Court should upheld the ruling of the appeal court, which finally actually ruled on the whole shenanigans all this while. So if Malamu has been disgraced, Bokwari has been disgraced, whatever they plotted didn't work out how they plotted it, you know what? The judiciary could save them all of that. But no, they were not done. So they went to the Supreme Court to ask the Supreme Court to prove that Nnamdi Kanu has a case to answer. The same case they've not been able to prove in their court for 8 years. So when they got there, the Supreme Court, playing the hide and seek, also just agreed. First, they agreed with Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers. They agree with Nnamdi Kanu that they violated his rights. They, is renditioning back to Nigeria, which is like kidnapping back to Nigeria, is illegal. It violated the international law. They agreed with Nnamdi Kanu on all of that. They also agreed with Bokwari and Tifnumbu's government now, because it's now Tifnumbu's business. They now agree with them too that, of course, he has a case to answer. But it is wrong for the High Court to revoke his bail because there is evidence that they wanted to kill him when he was on bail. And then he had to escape for his life. They agreed with Nnamdi Kanu for that. So now, what they have done is the Supreme Court, it's like they have dodged it and they have pushed it back to the primary stage, the stage that now leaves Tifnumbu as the forgiver in chief. How does that work? I will tell you. But let's go into that place and the reactions all over the world to what happened today in Nigeria. The Supreme Court here. So let's start from his lawyers, who actually came out disappointed, but not too disappointed as they expressed here.
Who came to court today to show or to demonstrate solidarity.
The Supreme Court is the Supreme Court. What the Supreme Court says represents the law. We respect it. We go by it. There is no other way. We had hoped that it would come our way, but it has gone the other way. It simply means that we have to go back to the High Court and get done with this quickly. We still have hope. We're not in despair.
By the grace of God,
yes. So
victory is assured.
Yes,
at the end of the day.
We will lose a little time. We still have to go back. That's all it means. But I'm very consoled by what the Supreme Court said, that he ought not to have been treated the way he was treated. His bail ought not to have been revoked. His home ought to have been invaded. All that is a consolation to us. So we have hope. Thank you very much.
Well, if in recent times you're listening to the commentaries of most Nigerians, there is now a process of judicial rascality. Because if the Supreme Court condemns all the processes, especially the rendition that brought him back to Nigeria, and you're not asking that he goes back to the court of, Federal High Court for the trial to start, I feel it's a lot of injustice. It's a lot of injustice in all forms of jurisprudence. So all I will say that we just leave it in the hands of God. At the end of the day, how can somebody? It's difficult to make a comment because when you listen to the judgment when it started, it was clear that they accepted the illegality committed by the federal government of Nigeria in all aspects of it, and yet you went on to this, to remove the judgment of the appeal courts because of lack of jurisdiction, which they led about the lower court. I don't think that is fairness in any consideration, but they say that they are final because it's the Supreme Court. They are also infallible because it is the final court of the land. So we'll go back to the Federal High Court and hopefully we'll probably request that a bail is granted at that level. So for me, it's a win-win affair. At least something has seriously started, and I hope that the process at the Federal High Court will be, that will be expedited so that the young man can come and be useful to the society. But the only unfortunate thing is that the insecurity in Nigeria, and especially in the southeast, will be worsened off because people don't believe what is happening in this country anymore. So if the Supreme Court of Nigeria is not even looking at the implications of what is going on, Boko Haram is on, bandits are on, IPOD is on. So where is the country that we're all looking forward to? May God bless this country. Thank you very much.
For the camera, sir. Those who don't know, sir.
Sorry?
For those who don't know, your name for the camera, sir. Your name.
I'm Chief Dan Olasi. I'm Chief Dan Olasi, and an Igbo small statesman.
The 3rd December. For us in the opposition lawmakers and opposition political parties who I speak for, this judgment today is very shocking to us because we missed an opportunity to lay the foundation and path for political resolutions of these issues. And it's so painful that the eminent jurists understood the issues, but in their conclusion decided to arrive at something that is still worrisome to us. And what is that? The Supreme Court agrees today that the extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya is illegal. That is the first victory that was recorded today. Then the Supreme Court also said today that the invasion of his house by the security agencies that led to killings and the man running to safety is also illegal. These are the foundations. And then the Supreme Court also goes further to say that the revocation of his bail ought not to have happened, thereby saying that he's supposed to be enjoying the freedom, which is the very foundation of this struggle up to Supreme Court. So now what happened? If the Supreme Court agrees that the extraordinary rendition from Kenya is illegal, and the Supreme Court agreed today that the invasion of his house is illegal, and the Supreme Court agreed today that he ought not to have been declared bail, then why is Nnamdi Kanu still in DSS custody today? The Supreme Court should have not only freed him, but lampooned those who committed those atrocities.
Yes.
And when they talk about some of these conventions that were cited by lawyers of Nnamdi Kanu are not national laws, I disagree. You know the extradition treaty that was signed by Malami, the Attorney General.
Yes.
That treaty, that act, condemned extraordinary rendition. So it's there in the law. Even as elementary law students, we are told method of forming laws, conventions, inclusive as well. So if you have international conventions that have been codified and ratified, they immediately becomes law. Like African Charter on Human Rights and so on and so forth will cite. These are laws. So why are you saying that we did not sign national law? National laws were cited. So for whatever reason, like I said, they are remitting back to the Federal High Court. We strongly believe that the first thing to do is to grant bail to Nnamdi Kanu. Let's go back to the foundation. It's to grant him bail. But let me also appeal to the president. I'm not saying he should interfere in judicial matters. But there is need for us to find a middle ground to bring peace to Southeast. Many things has gone wrong in the East. Is it that Nigerians don't feel for the destruction going on in the Southeast? Businesses are being burned to the ground. People are being killed. All sorts of criminal activities is going. Even security agencies are also being killed. And whenever anybody is killed in the East, they call it unknown gunmen. Don't we want, timely resolution of these issues? And we said that the first foundation is to grant Nnamdi Kanu unconditional bail, and then we'll commence that process of reconciliation and harmonization of these issues. People in the East are human beings. Everybody was expecting that this Christmas was going to be the first beginning of returning peace to the Southeast, because people were expecting, people were warming up for it. And then a few days to Christmas, the Supreme Court agrees that his arrest was illegal, that the rendition was illegal, that the invasion of his house was illegal, but he should remain in DSS custody.
Did you get that? Now, this is where the, what do you call it? The back door, like some people said, the Supreme Court of Nigeria is just there to give judgment, not to give justice. Okay? So you agreed, like they said in that video you just listened to, but he should remain in the custody. But to some people who are kind of feels like they want to make sure that his bail is not really unconditional. You get that? So that they can still have something on him. But for those who genuinely have seen through all the political conspiracy around this, there are those who intentionally don't want peace in Eastern Nigeria. For God knows why. Right? And it is like that to the eye up, where the judiciary, the Supreme Court, that's supposed to actually like be the embodiment of your, well, I'll be damned. You know? So they agreed that it should remain in their custody so that they can begin to work out, like they did with Bokwari, work out some of their dubious conditional release. Okay? That will eventually pave way for them to want to target him again. However, here is another, is also his lawyer, Ejima.
Came to court today to show or to demonstrate solidarity with Nnamdi Kanu, the distinguished senator representing his senatorial constituency. But you see, the ruling today was in part disappointing and in part satisfactory. A lot of people might say it's a bit ambiguous, so I'm going to speak very briefly so that I do not preempt what is going to come out of the registry of the court. We are going to promptly apply for certified true copies of what the justice stated in court today. But some things that he made clear were as follows: that number one, Nnamdi Kanu was enjoying his bail when his house was invaded, and that was wrong. If you recall, we had obtained a judgment in 2022 at the High Court in Abia State, awarding him 1 billion. So this indirectly affirms that judgment. And that the manner of bringing him into Nigeria was also wrong. But despite all of that, the Supreme Court found cause to send this case back to the Federal High Court. And sending it back to the Federal High Court is actually called remission. And when they remit with instructions. We don't know yet what those instructions are because we don't have certified true copies of the judgment and the judgment order. So in days to come, that will be available and will be made available to the press.
Okay, please, when the judge said yes, appeal and cross appeal, what does it mean?
Well, if government appealed against the discharge granted by the Court of Appeal and we cross appealed, okay, against the stay of execution granted by the Court of Appeal. So these were the issues. But what came out was that the revocation of his bail was wrong. So this, in fact, has created a basis to further seek his release, through some other means.
So the judge is saying that the trial should continue. What does it mean for your team now?
Well, basically, it's going to continue or it's going to proceed in accordance with the instructions the Supreme Court has issued. And those instructions will be clearer when we get them in writing. So the judge or the Federal High Court judge will have to be restricted within those. It's called a remission. So they have to carry out, the Federal High Court has to carry out the strict instructions of the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So we have no idea when their High Court is going to pick a date to listen to what they call the retrial. And as Ejimako said, they are waiting for the ruling, the copy of the ruling from the Supreme Court, which will come with instructions, including, as they admitted, invasion of his house was wrong, his rendition wrong, his revocation of his bail wrong. So does that mean the High Court's action should be release him? Until then, there are Biafrans that will never give up until Nnamdi Kanu is unconditionally released. Now, I will start with those who met in London today. Prince Jejeman invited some of you to London last night. Downing Street said, right? Of course they met. And they continue to ask the rest of the world, if Nigeria wants peace, free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He's done nothing wrong. Whatever you have been told, 8 solid years, they couldn't present anything. They continue to make mistakes upon mistakes, right? They were killing people, right? So they made him the, what do you call it, the undefeatable giant that he has become today. They made him that, and they couldn't prove anything for 8 solid years. So let him go unconditionally. And indeed, if there is going to be any peace in Nigeria of today, I think the journey should start from that. It is called show of faith. You get that? When they accuse you of systemic ethnic profiling, and in all the actions, it is every day proven that indeed there are rules or there are laws for some, and there are some laws for others. The Igbos are profiled in Nigeria, treated differently, and it has created more division than ever in Nigeria. It could be a sign of little faith. And say, okay, maybe now we can begin to talk about the complaint of the IPOB. Because you have to. All of us from every part of Nigeria should actually be like them, if we actually know what we're doing. But eating on them and doing all of that, trust me, doesn't seem like it's going to deter them anyway. And like I told you, no matter what they told you about them, right? About IPOB or IPOB, this IPOB, that, including those Lagos Sabo Baku, so those, all risers, crumb beaters, and the rest of them. No matter what you say, these are responsible men and women who were once Nigerians, and they were done with Nigeria for a very good reason. So in London, Prince JJ Man, here.
No one can say that a victim of kidnapping shall be tried. We are here today, and you have heard us. We will continue to be here. But like we promised you before, if you do not want it this way, we will take it through another way. And that way will not be in the best interest of Britain, nor Biafrans. But however, we will rather die trying, because we have come to restore our people's dignity. And it is either Biafra or Biafra. It's either Biafra or Biafra. It is either Biafra or Biafra. It is either Biafra.
All hail Biafra, all hail Biafra. Today is 15th of December 2023. We are out here, IPOB United Kingdom, on behalf of our leader, the greatest leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Our own stand is that Nigeria should obey court order. We are coming to obey court order. Supreme Court judges, obey court order. Obey court order. Don't divert the story. Don't divert the narrative. Don't divert the attention. Obey court order. You took our leader to the court. Now the court of UN said you must free him. Now the court of Nigeria said you must free Nnamdi Kanu. What else are you waiting for? Obey court order. Obey court order, Buhari. Obey court order, Jagabandi. Obey court order. That is our stand. Anyhow, anyway, obey court order. This is IPOB. Standing with the Nnamdi Kanu to the last man standing. All hail Biafra.
Prince JJ Man, the energy, the hope is unmatched. There are others too. I mean, this was when they stood and they gave speeches like this one.
By the case of Nnamdi Kanu.
Good point.
We know you love oil and gas. If you want to drink it, you can drink as much as you want. But we need Nnamdi Kanu out.
That's right.
Britain, if you actually believe in human rights, this is the time to prove it.
Prove it.
Prove that you care about human rights.
Prove it.
Prove that you care about United Nations.
That's right.
Nnamdi Kanu has been discharged and acquitted because he has committed no crime.
Yes, sir.
And we are calling on Britain. We are calling on David Cameron today to have an audience with Nigeria government to release its citizens. Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any crime. He is only asking for a referendum. The same referendum David Cameron gave to Scotland. The same referendum David Cameron gave for Brexit. No one was killed. No one was imprisoned.
Yes, no one.
Why do you allow Nnamdi Kanu to be in detention? We are calling all of you today, the MPs, 630 MPs representing each constituency in the United Kingdom, that it is time to show that you actually stand for human rights. Whatever you think about Biafrans, whatever you think about indigenous people of Biafra is irrelevant. What matters now is humanity. Nnamdi Kanu must be released unconditionally. That is why we are here today as a member of indigenous people of Biafra, representing over 70 million Biafrans worldwide, to ask you to make a demand by the case of Nnamdi Kanu.
Good point.
Like I said, there were speeches. Like the one you watched, here is another one.
To register our resolve, we are determined. Our minds are made up. Our fathers, they have made a mistake to keep quiet for too long. But this generation, IPOB will never stop. However, we must get what we want. We must get what we deserve. We are honorable men and women. Our cause is justified. Yes. Everyone knows the big difference between many and IPOB is that we dare to speak out. Yes. And nobody can push us down.
That's right.
Not in this world. What we are doing actually, those from Middle Belt, those from the West, those in the North, actually, they are sharing the same. But they dare not, they don't have what it takes to speak out. Never. So we are here to speak for the living.
That's right.
We are here to encourage whoever loves peace, because peace has no boundary.
That's right.
What Nigeria, what the zoo is witnessing today is just, they're not being pretentious. They know they are falling apart.
That's right.
Nobody is proud to be a whole Nigerian.
That's all.
Even those in this building, nobody is ready to die for Nigeria. Nobody loves Nigeria. But because it's a criminal enterprise. What they have is a criminal enterprise. And Biafra don't want to be part of it. What we are doing and what we are saying is before God and man justified. And we are proud of the man of peace.
That is
the man of justice.
That's one of the zoological republic
the grace is and
operator there.
The zoo
administrator. Can see him.
Is untouchable.
And that was in London today. But let's go back to Nigeria. Let's go back. I mean, you didn't see anybody harassing them, oh, did you? Of course, you can't see anybody harassing them. And they are also not harassing anybody. That is what democratic process entails. You express yourself, you express your displeasure, you say your, what have you. Then, if you put the number, then you get what you want. But in Nigeria, they are called terrorists because they don't want all of their crimes really exposed. But this is 2023. It's only whatever you don't want to see that you won't see. The world knows the ongoing genocide across Nigeria, especially in the eastern part of Nigeria. So underreported that it pains deeper. That a lot of people believe that the release of Nnamdi Kanu will bring to an end. You see all these politically sponsored unknown criminals, they call unknown gunmen. I mean, all of us will begin to know those behind that. Seriously. So they want him to remain there by stamping their own law on the head. They nearly killed Showore there today. It was there to show solidarity. And they shot at him. The DSS.
No access for Showore, I mean it.
Why would you say no access for Showore? Which order? Who gave you the order? Who gave you the order?
Don't beg.
Who gave you the order that I should not have access to the?
You don't camera us there.
What? Who gave you the order? I want to call somebody. No.
Don't camera us there. I will beg you.
Organize yourself.
Why are you cameraing?
Organize yourself.
Now you supposed to behave yourself.
Organize yourself.
Turn this bottle.
Organize yourself.
Oh yeah. Move.
Organize yourself. Why would you want to take my phone? What do you want to take my phone for?
Come back, do your work.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just returning from the Supreme Court of Nigeria, where there was supposed to be a ruling today regarding the freedom of Nnamdi Kanu, that's the leader of Biafra, who has been in detention, illegal detention in Nigeria after he was extraordinarily renditioned from Kenya almost 2.5 years ago. And it's so shameful that the Nigerian security services mounted checkpoints at the entrance of the Supreme Court. Twice I tried to enter the Supreme Court through different gates. They refused to come down.
Reverse back. This is the judge's law. I beg reverse back.
Who is the judge? The judge is not.
Who is the judges?
Who is the judges?
We are saying who is the judges?
Yes.
Who is the judges?
Is it a human being?
Reverse back.
Just relax.
Just reverse back. He said who is the judges? Reverse back.
They made it clear that there's an order from above, as usual, that said I cannot attend to this ruling. We are waiting, and I just worry that he may not get justice because this is a very early day or early morning sign that they might have something up their sleeves. But I hope I'm wrong for the first time today. But regardless of what they do, Kanu must be free. He must be granted his freedom because he's not a criminal. And we know who the criminals are in this country. They're the ones running the country, sadly. So that's a report from the Supreme Court.
Thank you. Sure. Unfortunately, they proved him right. Justice was denied. But some are saying it is justice delayed. About Supreme Court, we are talking about Supreme Court. You are like, justice delayed. But it is justice. Justice is denied. But we'll see what is in that judgment of the Supreme Court in the coming days. And I still feel positive that these people will do their abracadabra, cover up their shame, and release Nnamdi Kanu before Christmas. Remember, they have reached the dead end on Nnamdi Kanu. This wasn't how they plotted it or planned it. It didn't work out the way they wanted it to work out. Or maybe it actually worked out the way they wanted it to work out. They just wanted to keep Nnamdi Kanu as a trophy. Keep Oloye Sunday Igboho as a trophy. But at the end of the day, it became pointless lives were lost. And, but again, we implore them, eh? Let this innocent man go and save your money that you are spending on propaganda and the rest. Because one of these days, hey, when this will boomerang, even those who are hailing you, your bigoted defenders and supporters, Nigerians, they will deny you. Again, sometimes people feel like they were disappointed that when Nnamdi Kanu got renditioned back to Nigeria, that there was no rioting, there was no burning, destruction of this or that in eastern part of Nigeria. What does that tell you? It tells you that everything they told you about the IPOB was a lie. You were expecting them to begin to show some, Abi, but that wasn't them. Everything they have always stood up for is to keep the liberty, prosperity, and the safety of an average Igbo man and woman intact. It's not hard to tell. They are volunteering to be neighborhood watch. They are volunteering to defend the vulnerable ones in the far communities that are almost cut off the normal space of Nigerian security, well, if there is any anyway. So they are offering to build communities. They are offering to actually make something out of a place that some people turn to their own, plate of porridge, But nevertheless, this whole thing that is building and building, as you can see, for 6 straight years, despite all of the harassment, the killings, the disappearances of young Igbo men and women, there was never a time that any part of Igbo land, had this kind of insecurity that you are witnessing today, sponsored by the likes of Hopeless Uzodingba. But if Nnamdi Kanu was here, they probably would dread him enough, because he would tell everybody, he would name names of those behind any form of criminality in eastern part of Nigeria. He will mention names. And people know him for that, don't they? Let's go to River State. Again, Asari Dokubo that raised alarm and his disgust and disappointment for Tifnumbu's government. He said, I've said Tifnumbu's government is the worst government in the history of Nigeria. Just 7 months ago. However, all this because of Wike versus Fubara. Ladies and gentlemen, remember that I did tell you that Wike nominated or appointed more than 80% of all of the political appointments made by Fubara when he became governor, when he was sworn in as governor. More than 80% of his appointees, SA, commissioners, PA, all those titles they give themselves anyway. 80% of them, more than that too. Also, the rumor had it that Fubara might be the governor, but he is actually he's just there, or should we say, is meant to be there as a figurette, because that's a Fubara's term is Wike's 3rd term. They said Fubara's governor, who is in charge of the 2nd richest state in Nigeria, is not allowed to sign a check that is more than 100 million naira. Even if he's seeing all the billions, without the approval of Wike, he couldn't dare. Some said it's even 20 million. I said, could it be that worse? He said, no. They said it got so worse. Part of the problems behind the scene, so they said when Fubara expects, for example, when they expect you, commissioner for commissioner for this, you have to do this or do that. So the form is, the old document, sorry, how do they put that? The proposal is on your desk. I need you to sign it. So they said the commissioners will be asking Fubara that, is Oga aware? I don't want to sign anything that Oga is not aware of.